to be a basketball player is to be not only about basketball.
I really had that self-discipline, knowing my responsibilities, knowing that this is not just a game for me.
To be the best at basketball, you have to go beyond basketball.
What a recovery by Kiefer. Rejection. Lama Jama from Kiefer.
This is not just a game for me. The game has to be louder than anything else.
What a move by Kiefer Ravena.
My brother, Kiefer Ravena, welcome to the bridge. It's nice to have you here.
It's my pleasure, brother.
Appreciate it. Start
Yes,
off
sir.
things with a
Of
good
course.
vino, some cheers.
Cheers to this.
So, it's always been really interesting to watch you as a friend and as a business partner and as a basketball player grow into your strides and roots. And today I just want to kind of help other people understand what goes into this, right? What
Yeah.
goes into building the machine, what goes into crafting yourself to meet your goals and your dreams, right? To kick things off, I've always thought that we should go back to the beginning
Yeah.
and kind of see where things are, right? So, when you look back 10, 15 years ago, young kid with a dream, basketball, shoes, who was Kiefer then versus Kiefer today?
Oh, well, 10, 15 years is a long period, but I would say, Kiefer before just wanted to play basketball, and Kiefer now understands like the whole point of life, I would say. Growing up as the story that's really known to everybody, to everyone. Being in an athletic family, sports was second nature up until probably when I was in high school, when I kind of had that crossroads of making this
Right.
my life.
Talk to us a little bit about that. Like,
Yeah.
being a kid, watching your parents. So I think it's just really interesting for a lot of people to also understand that being a child of a parent whose career is in sports. What was that like?
It was great. Kasi parang with my generation, I would say there was just a handful of us who were second generation basketball players, let alone have two in the family. So when I was growing up, of course, there was a lot of comparisons. There was a lot of unnecessary pressure that at that age, I would say I never really understood. But now that it all made sense, that was the pressure I was dealing with at that early age when you're only supposed to enjoy and find your love with basketball. Pero that was my background. That's how I was raised, and I feel like that molded my competitive nature to where it is right now. So
Do you think you're watching your parents, be the athletes they were at the time, or, and how they treated things? Would you say they carried that, experience of being an athlete to the way they raised you as kids?
Of course. I mean, that was the biggest factor, especially when it comes to discipline. We had to listen because we had great role models. They were able to make it. My dad played professionally for more than a decade. My mom played in the national team multiple times. They must have done something correct. It's something right in their careers to lead wherever they played in their careers. So all we had to do was just follow. And that was a primary example for us, me, my brother 30, my sister Danny, that we're all in the professional level right now. And of course, you have to thank our parents for that, for making everything possible for our growth, not only as basketball players and a volleyball player, but as professionals.
As you say, I mean, speaking of that, not only as basketball players, to be a basketball player is to be not only about basketball, right? That's the funny thing about it. It's because, touching on this topic, there's so many life lessons this sport can teach us in different aspects and levels of our career. Right?
True.
And your career began the moment you realized in high school, this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right? I just really want to pick your brain about that, right? Because there's a lot of lessons to learn from a young athlete who's decided, eto na, this is what I want, right? And it comes with so much more than just chatter,
Yeah.
right? Walk me through how you dealt with giving yourself those expectations as early as high school, right? When things got real, I would say. Talk to me a little bit about how when people started realizing also, hey, this kid's got talent. What were those small doors in high school that started to open up for you and said, hey, okay, this could be more than just college career, but also something professionally I can do?
Probably growing up, I think I was really driven more than anything else. I felt like I was locked in from the beginning. Even my friends, my day ones know how different I was growing up. I really had that self-discipline, knowing my responsibilities, knowing that this is not just a game for me. So I knew what it took. I knew the sacrifices, what was needed to be done. The early nights, extra work, time in the gym, blood, sweat, and tears.
What did you have to say no to at that age? Because
A lot.
high school is fun,
High school is fun. Like,
right?
I would say high school is
You
fun.
create your best friends in high school, and you just said, very clearly that as early as that age, your friends
Yes.
already knew that you had this is the decision.
Yeah.
And I'm sure these friends that you're saying today are still your
of
best
course.
friends today, and they respected that output.
Yeah.
And like, what were those things that you had to say no to?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, of course, high school, there's a lot of things that you wanted to try out for the first time, maybe going on dates, movie dates with friends, partners, maybe go out, things like that, house parties, whatever. And those were the things that I kind of didn't really have a hard time to saying no to, just because how I was locked in from the get-go. I really loved being in the gym. I really loved being in basketball. So it wasn't really hard. Like I enjoyed saying no to a lot of stuff when I was younger.
What age was that? 15, right? 15, 16?
Yeah, I would say, yeah. 13, 14, 15,
So
16 was my
it,
high school.
What was it like being a 15-year-old already knowing what goals were? What was your goal when you were 15 years old as a basketball player?
I really wanted to play professionally. I knew that I wanted to play basketball as a livelihood. The extent of it, I didn't know up until probably when I was in college, wherein, you really get to watch the NBA more, realize your dream that maybe one day I could try it out over there, see if I can develop my game even further and see if I'm ready to go out there and try it out, which I really did. So maybe when I was in college, I would say the dream was always to make it to the NBA, just like any other kid in the world. Once you start holding a basketball, your dream is to play in the NBA. So for me, that was the goal. And then improving my craft, improving my game on a daily basis allowed me to open opportunities if the NBA didn't work.
That's crazy to think that you say that so easily. Like, if the NBA didn't work, I'm going somewhere.
No, because
you knew.
Probably I could say that easily because I gave myself a shot. I tried it out. It would probably be different if I never gave myself a shot.
Right.
It will always be a what if.
Right.
But the thing is, I did it. Like, it was there. I went to the States, traveled, did all the things that I could possibly do to give myself the best possible shot. I didn't make it, obviously, but I could say that proudly that if the NBA didn't work, because I tried and it didn't, then I'm here.
Yeah, the what if has now been
No,
canceled.
gone.
It's
So long
clear,
gone.
and it does
It's
so
just-
much to your mental state. And we're gonna go back to that definitely, because we want to track back on that experience of like canceling that what if for you, right? Because that's such an interesting part. But let's just to kind of like stick to where we are in the 10 to 15 years ago. So now you're in high school, you're jumping into college, you're changing schools, right?
High school. No.
How was that? What happened there in between? What happens from Kiefer as a high school basketball player, career wise, right? Because there's a career there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
There you already have coaches you have to talk to, mentors. This is it. This is the system around getting into pro, that level, right? So I mean, getting into college at least, right? So what happens? What happens for Kiefer Ravena as he goes from high school to college? Where does he go?
So that was the interesting part, being one of the guys who were like the top recruits of my class. Of course, there's like chit chatter where I was gonna go, and there was even an opportunity to go to high school in the States again. But since I was too young, I had to go to school again on my senior year to repeat the year level just I could reclassify and join my age, things like that. But, I was weighing all my options and decided to stay here locally where I felt like I was gonna maximize my talent. Of course, a big part of it was loyalty. Being eaglet. I wanted to represent the school, represent my colors from high school to college. And at that point, there was a situation where there was a championship streak that was hopefully gonna get continued, and
You
I
were
was
gonna
gonna
be a
be
part
part
of
of
that.
it. So I'm like, there was like a big situation in my favor. So
Yeah.
it was leaning towards my favor. I get to play even though I was young, new to the team.
Helped you make that consideration.
Yeah, and then we were rebuilding. We just recruited Greg Slaughter. So, the team was gonna get stronger. So, I mean, it was a win-win situation for me.
you wanted to play.
I wanted to
you
play.
wanted to win.
Coach Norman was gonna give me an opportunity to showcase my talent. So, it was really more or less like a no-brainer to stick to Ateneo. And
And man, did you do a great job, man.
I mean,
I mean,
of course, no. There was probably
What a year. I
Yeah,
mean,
it
what
was-
what those years in college were just
golden for me. Amazing years. And it wasn't just all because of the championships, of course, but lessons learned,
Now, walk me
friends,
through that, man.
relationships made. There's a lot. There's a
Some
lot.
lost, I'm sure in between.
Yeah, after coming off back-to-back championships, not making it to the Final Four the year after. So it was tough because, from the peak of the mountain, you felt the drop was so hard because you don't make it right away to the Final Four. So the expectations was like gone. Like, what happened? So after that, again, it was an opportunity personally for me to show resiliency, show mental toughness. And I would say that was the year when I locked in the most
What do you mean?
in my college year.
Because of the setback.
Because of the setback. Yeah.
What
That-
fueled you differently?
I was just tired of people saying that, I couldn't do it.
You couldn't deliver the way you wanted to.
Yeah.
Or the way they thought they would. You
Yeah,
would.
we were just strong because of the other guys and things like that. But I knew that we were a formidable team. We could make it to the Final Four, let alone win a championship. And I think that was the year. Yeah, that was the year after we didn't make it to the Final Four. We were number one after the elimination round. So that was a small victory that I would say. That's why I would remember it as one of the years that I was most locked in.
And you carry that memory, I'm sure, today still, like, a constant reminder of what you've been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
Like you said, beyond the winning, right? Those are some of the lessons that you carry in the same pedestal as winning back to back. The comeback story, the jump from, making that mistake to locking in, defining what locking in is to you, setting the standard
Yep.
for what locking in means to you, right? And just building on that. I mean, that must carry a lot of weight when it comes to thinking now, okay, UAAP is great. I've had one hell of a ride. You feel like you're at the top of the mountain. What goes on in your head now when expectations now start to change between college to pro, right? Because college to professional is interesting. I mean, fast tracking a little bit, just taking a nudge from what we've done with our players in Bridge Sports Globe and how you've wonderfully mentored them through these processes. For you in your experience, knowing that specifically you're jumping from college to pro, what's the shift in mindset there now? Because there's this professional level of standard of basketball that exists. You've been one amazing player in college. What do you do now in your mindset? Because is there a humbling portion there and say, wait a minute, I'm not the player I am yet for the professional, but I'm going to lock in. What's that mindset now shifting? Okay, I'm going from college and I'm going to pro.
I would say siguro the mindset is, this is a livelihood now. This is literally your profession. So the change has to be, that you're going up against grown men. So even before you start, you have to be physically ready. So you have to go to the gym. This is me as a basketball player.
Are you training differently?
Of course, you have to gain weight, make sure you find your comfortable playing weight for you not to get pushed around. Even if you think you're strong at 22, 23 years old, you think you're strong until you hit those 30, 31, 32-year-olds who've been doing this for 10 years now.
Yeah, who've stacked layers.
Who was like have dad strength.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Different
that-
motivation.
And there's a big level of accountability because, of course, with being professional, there's money involved. There's like, you got contracts, you have opportunities to be financially better. So there's more responsibility with that. So that's the mindset that goes beyond the basketball court. You know, I have to take care of that
And
as
it's
well.
all part of that consideration. I think this is one of the key takeaways also from what we're just discussing now. To be the best at basketball, you have to go beyond basketball.
You have to.
And
Because we all know, you know, basketball is not permanent. You know, basketball is not going to be here forever. And for that awareness alone, you know that you have to be good at something else as well.
yeah, I get you.
You know.
But specifically, you know, just jumping into that part where you're jumping from college to pro, right? That mindset. You said a lot of things that are in consideration. In fact, it kind of felt like almost 10 to 15 different things. And those didn't exist while you were playing college. Some may have, but it was in the spectrum of your competition within the UAAP,
Yeah.
in your case. Now that you're jumping to professional, right? How do you approach these new challenges? Let's say, for example, knowing that there's money on the line, knowing what you're worth, and trying to fight for what you're worth. Understanding, and this I'm sure will carry over to our jump to how you develop your professional career, but knowing your worth versus what the market is valuing you for. What goes on in a player's head, like you?
Siguro, for me, the game has to be louder than anything else. You know, the game has to speak louder than the outside whatever. So if your game is good, I quote my good friend Brock Motum. He always tells me that you look good, you feel good, you feel good, you play good, you play good, you pay good. So basketball is such a results oriented business that if you produce, you don't have to negotiate. It's just come to you. You know, the people know your value. And then again, if you just know that you think you got more to that, then you just add pressure to yourself. If you could play through that pressure, then good for you. You know, that's what the elite players are. That's why you have the NBA guys, you have the Steph Currys, the LeBron James, the Michael Jordans, the Kobes, you know, the Luka Doncic right now, you know, SGA. They're worth $100 million because they know that they could rise above the pressure despite all the expectations of $100 million player.
You make a clear point there because it didn't change whether you're LeBron or Stephen Curry or, you know, Luka. It's their game that put them to where they are.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's one side of it, right? You're now deciding, okay, I got game. My game speaks for itself. My value is my value.
Yeah.
Right? You enter your pro career. What shocked you playing professional? Something that you generally, you know, it sounds to me that you're the kind of person who tries to stay prepared as much
Yeah.
as possible because you put your time and energy in to the court, to the training, to the gym.
Yeah.
Coming to the professional game, this is not just about whatever it was about being a pro. What shocked you about being a pro? What kind of caught you off guard?
I think what shocked me was the responsibility that comes with it. I think the game, just like with everybody else naman, the game comes naturally. Kasi to be a pro, it means that you've been doing this for a long time. It means you've prepared yourself well enough to reach this level, which allows the game to be relatively easy. But the hard part is the responsibility beyond the game. Like how you take care of your body, how you rest, you recover, how you maintain your nutrition, your sleep, you know, things like that. And you'll be surprised with how much time you actually have in a day and be shocked like, damn, like I still have this amount of time that I can do. So what are you going to do about it? So your responsibility goes beyond the basketball court, beyond that 94 by 50 rectangular court. So I think that's what shocked me in the beginning. Kasi parang nag-start ako lalo na nung nag-PBA ako. Parang I would start my day at around 5:15, workout, do my weights, run a little bit, shoot, rest a little bit, and then when we practice, it's from 9 to 12. And then my day's done. So from 12 to whenever I sleep, free time. So that's when I realized that I have to do something productive. That's where I was learning new skills. I would probably read a book, talk to other
Responsibility.
talk to other people, learn from other
Mentorship.
people.
Yeah.
Things like
Advice.
that. Ask questions from other people, and finding value for time, I would say, was one thing I learned with being professional. Just because I knew that I had to take care of it, because I had so much, and I was fortunate to have so much time after basketball in a day to study, learn, explore, and try to acquire a new skill.
What about basketball in particular in the pro side? Did you feel like you needed to reinvent yourself in? Right. Cheers, by the way. Wonderful
Cheers,
stuff.
cheers, cheers, cheers.
You knew your skills. You knew what you were good at. You're playing pro. What was one thing I said, wait, whoa. Like, there's something that I need to add into my arsenal and you worked on in your game?
Siguro yung I would say conditioning. Conditioning has always been a big part in my basketball career.
How so? Was it more of like a criticism of your game, or was it
I
more
think-
of like a criticism of yourself?
Myself, because I could always tell myself that I could do so much more if I'm in much better shape. I felt personally like I got away with a lot of stuff, especially when I was in college, even if I wasn't in like tip top shape.
What do you mean specifically? Like, are there certain areas in your game that you got away with? Like,
I felt like I could have gone to the gym a lot more often, took my nutrition a little bit more seriously, avoided some injuries in the past, things like that. But again, hindsight is 2020, so I could say that now. But like the question was like, if I could, reinvent myself to be something with conditioning that I really wanted to improve on. Every off season, I would make sure, just because when things go out of hand, especially when it comes to the off season, when you spend a lot of time with your family, you forget, your responsibility of taking care of your health. It's so difficult to get back to that peak condition where your team wants you to be in. And again, that's another responsibility to have to do as a professional.
I mean, now we're in the pro state and expectations are starting to pick up more differently. I mean, yes, the pressure of being an Atenean is heavy, right? And rightfully so. The team, the culture. I mean, you were playing for one of these top college teams. And needless to say, as you enter the professional stage, the pressure changes. Maybe it gives life to new types of pressure, new types of expectations, right? So now you're dealing with different types of pressure. What are some of these pressures that don't have to do with conditioning, and like, what are some of these outside pressures that came to life when you were playing professional that you felt were challenging to you?
Actually, that's a good question. Kasi parang, for me, I don't know if it's weird because I feel like it's related, but to me it's not. Like, I feel more nervous than being pressured, but it's related. If it makes sense.
We'll try to break it down.
If it makes sense, because basketball is fun. Like, I don't really feel too much pressure playing basketball, but I would lie if I said I never got nervous. So that's why it's a little bit different for me.
Did it come from the responsibility that you're saying, like, now that you're more responsible, you're putting more time and effort
Probably
in?
with the preparation as well, because you get more confident. Like before, I would say when I was in college, shooting free throws, there was really no. I was a bad free throw shooter, by the way. I was nervous. Like, of course, the pressure's there and everything, but I was really more nervous where it got to a point where I probably thought that I had the yips every time I would shoot a free throw. But in general, pressure, not so much, but because basketball is supposed to be fun, and I feel like there's a lot of people in this world who deal with the real pressure.
Nervous versus pressure,
I
right?
feel like
You're
there's
trying
two different things for me.
Absolutely. I'll try to differentiate it
Yeah.
in our context, right? Nervous is a feeling.
Yeah.
It's almost a reaction that you get from a certain situation without necessarily having to voluntarily think of it. Your nervous system kind of and the science guys will say what they need to correct me, but I'm just trying to put it into
Yeah.
context in the way we are. I feel like when you say nervous is kind of the same as pressure, you're right. I feel like what you're trying to say is that it's something that gives you pressure.
Yeah.
Feeling nervous can become involuntary thing that happens to you when a situation comes, creates pressure in the moment that you're in, and you're a bad free throw shooter.
it's
Most
a
bad free throw
snowball.
shooters, most bad free throw shooters are nervous.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking of the result that might happen, right?
For sure.
And they carry
Especially
that weight
if
with
you're
them.
like an overthinker and you analyze
Yes.
things a lot.
Are you an overthinker?
Too much, especially with basketball.
And
Too much.
it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, too much.
And
too
it
much.
comes with the nervousness.
Yeah.
Overthinkers desire the future
And
that
I
they
feel like
want.
probably just because of we see, I would relate it to life in general. We just see people who deal with different types of pressure every day. We've read it online. We've read it in articles that the real pressure for some people is just finding food to eat on a daily basis, and like those people don't have time to be nervous if they see food, whether it's
I see what you're
spoiled or
saying.
not, but they just
They
have
gotta
to
live.
eat it because they
They
have
gotta
to live
live.
and survive. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's pressure. That's like, I salute to those people. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, that's why I'm saying that
That's why you've
basketball
never
is
feel-
fun. Like,
I
it's
get you now.
supposed- It's supposed
I
to
get
be
you
fun.
now. You put it in better context than I did.
So that's how I would,
It's like you're in such a blessed position for you to feel pressured.
yeah.
Like comparing yourself to everyone else that's creating a livelihood for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You're dribbling a rubber ball down a wooden court
And getting paid too.
and getting paid to do it. And you can calculate your mistakes. You can watch tape to see what you've done. You can almost try again the next day. Whereas others only have their day to do that.
Yeah.
I think that speaks a lot about you, Kiefer, generally, because I think that's the kind of person you are on and off the court. And I'll say this from my perspective, it just feels like there's so much to that line that you said about taking responsibility. I think the definition of taking responsibility beyond just being a basketball player, but you've kind of centered the idea of taking responsibility in everything that you do. Whether you're playing basketball for the first 2 hours of your day, training for the next 4 hours, and the responsibility to take into consideration those last hours before you sleep, you want to make sure, and this is just what my understanding, you want to make sure that those hours are spent taking responsibility. And it combines this idea of like, I as a person also relate to that heavily because there's just so much time we have that we shouldn't let go to waste. And not everybody has to be built this way.
Yeah.
But in the context of what we're trying to achieve, taking responsibility kind of gives us that anchor, right? It kind of says, okay, I've done my day right. Like when I look back and say, got it. All right. It makes sense. I can go to sleep. I'm an overthinker. I need to level
And
that
probably
off.
just because as if people who take responsibility, like it feels like you have control as well. Like I feel like
There it is.
as men, you want that control.
Absolutely.
That kaya mong gawin lahat, and if shit goes south, you have nothing to blame, no one to blame, but
'Cause you put the work
yourself
in.
lang.
Yeah.
Yourself. But at the same time, you low-key not blame yourself. You just learn and then move on to the next one. Avoid the things that you made a mistake on, and then try something else. And but again, that's the feeling of control that you have if you're the type of guy who takes responsibility. And again, it's something that could actually be a blessing and a curse, because I've always been mistaken of being selfish, arrogant, and just being one to be the man always, just by wanting to take responsibility.
Ako na bahala.
'Di ba? Yung something to be like that, na
Ako na lang.
bida-bida ka. 'Di ba? Na ganun. I've always been, mistaken for that. And
And how have you navigated
that,
around those hearsays?
well, I just got to a point in my life wherein I felt like it's just okay not to always be understood.
100%.
So I
100%.
feel like that's how I was able to navigate around it.
Yeah. You kind of just said, you know, it's either I'm me or I'm me.
It's not like you're it gaff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't give an F about it. But it's really more of if I say something or if I project something like this and you misunderstand it, and then I don't have to let you know, no, this is what I meant. Like I'll just let you
Process it.
stay or believe whatever side of the story you heard, and just let it be. Like if I don't have to explain myself to you about it, it's that type of not being understood, but
It's starting to make a little more sense to me because we talked about this before, right? Over a few of our Zoom calls back and forth while you were in Japan. And now I get why this whole misunderstood function means so much to you because you've navigated through it.
Yeah.
Right? You've
threw it around it,
threw it
over,
around it,
under
over,
it.
under. I mean, misunderstood.
Yeah.
Right? And you embraced the opportunity. Again, there it is. You embrace the responsibility to just set yourself up to understand that, hey, this is part of the way things are. I choose not to necessarily have to tell you and make you feel the way you need to feel. If you misunderstand me, then it's the way you depict it,
Yeah,
and that's fine. That's
fine.
that's the way
Perfectly
you need to
fine.
see.
Yeah.
And I think that's a healthy view because
that's it.
no, I'll put
People
that in,
should try it out.
people should try it out. People should try making less of the things that they're trying to push to other people
Yeah.
and trying to process it in such a way where that person needs to also feel and reciprocate the feelings that you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
They
and it's
they can feel the way, and that's really hard.
it's almost impossible.
It's a practice.
It's almost impossible.
But as a basketball player, playing with the level of responsibility, I don't even say pressure anymore
Yeah.
because you love the game. The responsibility you have, it's part of the game, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's part of the game, and like you're jumping from college. You're professional now, but something happens. Something happens in your professional career at that time. You were playing the PBA,
yeah.
right? And walk me through that portion where, apart from that opportunity to play in Japan, what were these things and factors that made you want to kind of like try out playing overseas?
I feel like it's a big part of it was, of course, the pandemic. It was around that time, wherein basketball was a little unstable.
I mean, we got through the pandemic, bro.
Yeah, we did, and I felt like those were my years wherein I had to play because that was maybe like 24, 25, 26, wherein I was at the time of my career wherein this is the time where I establish a name. You know what I mean? That's why I needed to play.
Interesting that you say that with so much distinction. You weren't thinking about establishing your name in the PBA, or was it?
No, that was my thinking, of course, in the PBA because there was
But the
no,
pandemic happened.
Yes,
I understand.
there was no what do you call this opportunity yet playing overseas. So those were the years where I wanted, when I joined the PBA, my goal was establish a name for the PBA for the first 3 years. And first couple years it was great. Made our team's first ever semifinals appearance as a franchise, as a rookie, doing well and things like that. Playing well for my team, making an impact right away. And after that, I think I got suspended for a year and a half
Yeah,
for the national team. So that was a tough hurdle
correct.
to go through. And after that,
What came out of it though? Like that hurdle, like
again, it was an opportunity for me to take a step back, look back, be better, assess myself, being resilient once again. And then when I was starting to play again, the pandemic happened. So like my first 4 years from 2017 to 2020 was literally
blur.
a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Because I was playing good, suspended, playing good, pandemic. So
do you think it made you tougher? Or
I think I think the pandemic made everybody tougher,
Yeah.
but
I mean the roller coaster before the pandemic.
yeah, of course, and it made me again realize that
Yeah, what was that realization you had?
I felt like that's when I missed a lot of playing years. That's why when the opportunity came for abroad, I took it right away.
How did it come?
An opportunity presented itself a few weeks after I signed in the PBA, but
Interesting.
yeah, it was really interesting, and
Was it an email? What went on?
it was an email sent through a coach who I knew, Coach Mark Dicko, reached out about an opportunity to play overseas, and an agent who also worked with Coach Mark during that time. So that came about, but me and that agent Daniel had to make sure we weren't violating anything
Under the
first.
PBA.
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
you were
So
signed already.
yes, I just signed. So we made sure that everything was ironed out, sorted out, and things like that. Consultations with lawyers, three different lawyers, and then months passed. Eventually, it all worked out.
How many months?
Maybe like 3-4 months.
And you were signed with NLEX and you weren't playing with them while these months were happening.
No, I was still playing.
So-
Because when that happened, when I signed, there was a hybrid bubble
Got
that
it.
we did
Because of the pandemic.
because of the
Makes sense.
pandemic. So I was still
Yeah.
playing, but during that time, the hybrid bubble was really tough.
Foreign, different. Everybody was just trying things
everybody
out,
was
right?
sorting things
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
If one got the bad news of being positive, no games for 2 weeks, reset again, things like that. It was hard to stay in shape, so I felt like I had to make a move and go overseas.
So things work out with the lawyer. Things work out with the people around you who are helping you out. Make the difference. So the offer was good, right?
Yeah.
You're here. You're flying out.
Yeah.
Right. What's going on in your head now? I mean, because you're a person who looks back to look forward,
Yeah.
and I see that a lot. You're now seeing, okay, wait, this is another level. The 15-year-old basketball me is happy inside, is rejoicing because I've just unlocked level 4. You know what I mean? Like you're playing a video game and like, okay, I'm on the next level right now. Mind you, during this period and even until today, playing abroad as a Filipino in an overseas country as an Asian import is rare.
Yeah.
Yes, there are a few more, but like during that time, it was rare, like steak rare. You know what I mean?
It was rare, but at the same time, siguro nga, when I was around that time, probably on the plane already, it was one of those self-talks wherein if it's either you do this or you don't. Like if you commit to
Fascinating.
this, like 100% commit to it, dive into it, bet on yourself.
That plane ride must have been interesting, man.
Oh, it was literally one of the longest, and figuratively the longest plane
What's going on in your
rides.
head?
Yeah, a lot of stuff. You're giving up, uprooting your life, being comfortable out here in the Philippines, having family around, to living alone, practically pursuing a dream for greener pastures,
Culture,
and-
language
yeah,
barrier.
everything, all the plus that probably people don't see or recognize. So,
Absolutely not.
yeah.
And so you're here now, you're playing in Japan, different types of systems. The basketball nerd that you are is happy.
Yeah.
AF,
Geeked
I'm
out.
sure,
Yeah,
geeking
geeked
out.
out.
And you're playing in a system, whatever it is, you're playing to win.
Yeah.
And that's what you are. You're coming in as an import, you see, what people don't also realize. And when I say people in context, people also may have never asked themselves, right? The Asian import slot is an import slot. As an import, the expectations of you playing in that team is a lot higher than local players.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a cut above the rest in your position. And for you to make that, your game talks your game, but, that comes with a lot of pressure, right? And for you, pressure is a privilege. Now you're playing there. How do you adjust?
I guess
Basketball-wise.
the adjustment, majority of the adjustment comes with the mindset. Like what you said, there's this responsibility, there's this connotation of being an import, that you're a cut above the rest. That's why they recruit you as an import. So the mindset has to change. You have to come in knowing that they expect something from you that is different from what they already have. So whether it's being more prepared than everybody else, more in shape than everybody else.
Conditioning.
You can shoot better than some of those guys. You're stronger than some of the guards they have.
What was yours? In your case,
I
coming
would
into
say
Shiga.
my
Shiga,
leadership
correct?
and my IQ, my being a point guard, that
Floor general.
that was my edge. Being able to dissect the game. That's why me and my coaches had a very good relationship, because I would always have that open communication with them as an extension
Of somebody who's
of
from the
them
bench
on the
into the
bench
court.
to the court. That's the relationship I maintained with them. So that's why I felt like that's what I was able to bring into that system, and not only that, maybe in that category of being an Asian import.
100%.
My being a floor
Yeah,
general.
your own version of an X factor as the Asian import, right?
Yeah.
Coming in as a guard, right? And at the time, how many Asian imports were there that were playing Filipino?
First one was 30, of course, and then the year after that, it was me, 30, Ray, and Dwight. I think, like the first one.
And that's when people started to really notice. Like, wow. Because, everybody struggled in the pandemic. Everybody had to pick up the pieces again, right? And, me, as somebody who really admired global pursuit of Filipino excellence, it was hard not to notice that you guys were going out there and carrying the flag in a different way. You were representing the country in such a way that really defined the excellence of Philippine basketball. It really helped shape my view of this whole, okay, there's the landscape of sports is now broadening because of this Asian import quota. And it happened in different sports too. In football, there's an ASEAN quota player. I said, it fascinated me so much, right? And, we'll touch base on that as we talk about the origin stories of Bridge Sports Global. But just final touches about your time in Japan, so we can help also the audience understand. Yes, the training is different. The exposure to the basketball system is different. How do you, in your own way, deal with the loneliness? How do you deal with the not being with family? Because what I want to do is I want people to also understand if there's even a way to kind of like put it even into bullet points of what you can consider, knowing that if you do move there or if you do get the opportunity to go there, okay, what can I learn from somebody who's done it?
Siguro commitment and understanding of why you're doing this. A big part of it is actually understanding why, your whys. It's like, it's a question you ask yourself before going there, because like what I said, once you go there, you're committed, because you're at a professional level where there's this sense of responsibility that you have to hold yourself accountable for. And also your organization is, won't
Expecting you to do this.
yeah, and won't really not care, but wouldn't really think about stuff that's going through your mind, your whatever, your emotions, if you're playing bad, diba? So I guess siguro the loneliness, it's normal. Yun yung masasabi ko na hindi nyo siya maiiwasan, kasi tao tayo eh.
That's a fair point.
Diba? Hindi, like, you
Don't
can't-
try to avoid it.
Oo, don't try to avoid it. It's okay to feel lonely, but it doesn't mean that you have to go through it alone.
Hey.
Like, so you have people to talk to, you have friends. Swerte na nga tayo, we're in a generation of technology.
There's ways to
calls,
reach out.
There's so many
Experience,
ways.
communication.
So many ways of being within arm's reach, diba?
Yeah.
So, for me, it's okay. Like, don't avoid it. It's okay sometimes to be sad. You'll have your days, but again, you can go through it with other people as well. You reach out. It's never wrong. And then that was one way for me to cope up with the loneliness that I would feel every now and then.
Interesting, because you kind of leaned into it rather than avoid it entirely.
Yeah.
You place it into context and saying, hey, it's part of it.
Yeah, and
it's part of it, right? Apart from loneliness, were there other things that kind of like, threw you off a little, that kind of maybe even shaped the kind of person you are today? Especially playing abroad?
Just the just the commitment part.
Got it.
I think the commitment part of committing to your work, of just
Always
sticking
remembering
to the
your
grind.
why.
Yeah, just sticking to the grind. I think that because I was able to carry it with a lot of things beyond basketball, that if I wanted to spend time with something, full on, head on, that course, that direction, it's not like something on the side lang that 50% effort lang, might as well not do
Gets.
it at all.
Gets.
So
There
that's
was
why I'm
always
very
this.
picky as well.
I see that. I see that too.
That's why I'm
Yeah, you
very,
choose your battles.
yeah, it's very picky with a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, just because I know if I'm not able to give 100% to a certain thing, subject, or business, parang wag na lang din.
That's true, no?
Yeah,
You carried your discipline around playing basketball into how you viewed things outside of basketball as well, right? And hey, this is the exciting part because this is kind of the Kiefer that I got to know already. I mean, we talked about it earlier, the 10 to 15 years ago, but the person you are today is kind of like the person I got to know. And, man, you're making good money. And I'm so proud of you because now that I know your story also in the context of it, gives me more reason to be more proud of your situation. But on the entrepreneurship side of things, right? This is where at least I would have understood this, right? But I know you dabbled a little bit in when you were in college, in terms of entrepreneurship and investment. But what really changed when you were, you're making good money now in basketball. You're playing in pro enough to kind of invest, right? You're learning now about
Yeah.
investments. How did that start for you? Like, what was your investment journey now saying, hey, how did you view money? How did you view investment? Now that you've been playing professional abroad, what were those contexts like?
A lot of listening to my parents, a lot of listening to
Interesting.
my mom especially. I say that because, of course, syempre pag bata ka, I was blessed to be able to earn early in my career. And pag bata ka, parang just to any other young kid getting money story na parang, oh, I want this, I want that, I want this. And then, of course, when my mom was explaining me, my parents, that we have to do this, you have to buy this first, you have to save up. At first, it was hard to understand.
Right.
Why can't I touch my money? Like, I want to buy a bag, I want to buy shoes, I want to buy something, I want to go here and there. So it was hard in the beginning, of course. Pero nung ngayon naintindihan ko siya, like, I'm glad.
Thank God. Right?
I'm glad, I'm glad that even though I didn't understand it
You still
during
listen.
that time, yeah, I was able to listen.
Now you have more flexibility, right? Those investments early were there, but what's exciting you now, on the investment side of things, this podcast is turning into like a business podcast, and I love it because, we carry different hats, but being beyond an athlete is now your money management, right? When you think about money and you think about your future, how do they meet in the middle? You think about how you use your money to protect your future and what goes into that, like where do you want to put your money?
No, I feel like it goes beyond that. Parang, of course, ngayon, we always have that rule, like, you wanna make your money work for more money.
I get you.
We have that mindset as well, but at the same time, as a basketball player, parang hindi ko rin kaya personally to just sit back and relax and just wait for money to work for more money. You know what I mean? I have to do something. That's why when it comes to retirement,
Could you say you want you like being involved in the process?
yeah,
also?
yeah, from
You wanna know how it's
scratch.
doing.
And at the same time, I feel like when we talk about retirement, I just can't stop right there and then when it comes to hanging up the sneakers and stepping away from basketball. I feel like I have to do it gradually, slowly but surely, whether joining trainings, being a skills coach, leading towards an assistant coach, a scout, a head coach in the future, probably a GM and things like that, and then eventually call it quits. But that's how I see it when it comes to my money being involved in the future, because I know that I'm going to be involved with the sport for a very long time,
And you want to.
and I want to. That's why I already dove in a lot of business ventures as early as now. even way back when.
What are some of the exciting, I would say, ones that you have right now, whether it's basketball related or not? You want to plug, you can plug if you want to, but it's really more about me just trying to point out, what's Kiefer excited about in the investments he's made. What are some of the businesses
I feel like it's the some investments I've made in the past.
that are bearing fruit now already?
Yeah, hopefully soon. Will bear fruit soon. One, because I want to retire my parents.
Cheers to that.
That's as a manong.
Cheers to that, man.
That's one.
It's a different kind of fuel.
That's what excites me. I want them to enjoy their lives. They've done so much for us, of course. Being able to be here, talk about life. So I think that's what excites me the most in my ventures.
It's kind of like a thought in the back of your head always, right?
Yeah. That's a motivation as well.
Am I getting closer to that retirement number?
And of course, the second one is, I have a wife now.
Yes,
so,
you do. Cheers to that as
yeah.
well.
Cheers to that new motivation as well.
I mean,
Being able to provide.
Being
look
able to
forward,
provide.
Having a family of your own in
it's
the
all
future.
happening
so,
to you in this. It's so wonderful to see also because it's all happening in such a way where, again, level unlocked.
Yeah, and it basically happened to me in
Span of 3
2
years.
years.
2 years.
I was about to say like 2 years, maximum 3 maybe, wherein we started.
Slow down a bit,
we
maybe.
started Bridge Sports. Now
We'll get to that for sure.
we have players on our own, getting married. Now talking about retiring my parents and things like that. So it's all a blur. That's why we're always on our toes, keep ourselves busy. Next thing we know, we're
And
3 years down the road.
And we're not getting any younger.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, at the end of people still think that there's that one function that we sometimes fail to realize also, whether we do things or not, the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
Whether we do things or
Yes,
not,
and-
the sun will rise and the sun will set.
Yeah.
And I think, there's only one time in every man's life where, and it could be years, right? But it's a time period where you lock in. And you lock in different levels.
Yeah. And I believe it too. Like, it really gets lonely when you lock in.
It does. It's a sign almost that you're doing the right thing.
You don't know how lonely you get when you lock in and things like that. That's why I feel like with locking in, a big part of it's your faith with God has to be a big part of it.
Amen.
With locking in, because
Amen.
it gets lonely in that road wherein you're just tunnel vision and things like that. And then again, this is where some things come in that may not make sense to a lot of people.
And it may not even make sense to you right away. You
Yeah.
might question it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Because locking in, in my own business ventures and in your own ways, that locking in part, and I've never been able to avoid it. There really is a stage of loneliness.
Yeah, there is, of course.
And it's in some ways, to your guidance earlier of trying not to avoid it, believe me, I've tried to avoid it in some cases. I've tried to think that there's a way to the success without the loneliness where I can, make sure every Saturday I get to see my family, make sure I get to call this guy. All of that, I can
It
do
gets
it.
lonely.
I can do it all. But
Yeah.
when I try to do it all, I don't get to lock in.
Yeah.
There's this part of me about this locking in part that we're talking about, which is really great that you brought it up. I want to put into context the loneliness function at a certain point kind of becomes a sign that you're really locking in.
Yeah.
And when you embrace
That's the cue.
that's a cue, right? Right? That's the cue that says, hey, you're on the right track. Listen to my voice. We're very lucky to have our faith in the higher power in God, and then you realize in the loneliness you're kind of deepening your conversation with the big man above. It's what's going to carry you through the tougher times. Because I also realize this, when I'm able to reap the benefits of the success that I've done, the celebration is so much sweeter because it also came with the loneliness.
You know what you
You
went
know what I
through.
mean? It's like, oh my God.
You know what you went through.
Wedding, When I got married, it felt like such a success. It's a different kind of success, but it's still one of those things that I calendared, as making amount of money I wanted in my bank. I want to get married. I want to have a wedding and stuff like that. But when you unlock it, it's like, okay, it's so much sweeter because you remember, how you struggled, how you got
true.
through it, right? The chapters of the book were written before you jumped into, final boss.
Yeah.
And yet every stage of your life kind of has that function. And you're here now. You're here in this part where you can't help but think about retirement. Not that you want to retire, but you have to think about it, because if you don't, you're at a loss. You see all of the players that you admire, LBJ, Kevin Durant. There's such, Stephen Curry. We live in such an information age where you can really see that they as well plan things out. You see their moves on court, but you also see their moves off it. And we emulate. We try to do that. And one of the things that you and I have gracefully and embraced was developing this, I would say, exciting, scary, but so rewarding beyond the financial identity of this sports agency that we had, we put together. And we emulated the people in some ways that we admired, right? And we wanted to do it in our own way, right? And we gave birth to this agency called Bridge Sports Global,
Yeah.
right? People know us today as BSG, but I kind of want to go back to give people the context of why we started this, how it became part of our why, and how we kind of developed. And I will give my side and you'll give your side, right? But how we developed into kind of like building this mutual gain. Where did this idea really begin, at least for you, in terms of building the agency? Was there an identity of trying to build an agency even before we discussed it? And what have you thought about it, and where did it come from?
Well, of course, when we started, like it was just an idea. Of course, just like a lot of successful businesses start from. I think it all comes from my genuine love for basketball, on how I want to help the next generation of basketball players to be even more successful than I am, wanting to improve the game in a way where on how I experienced it and how I can improve it by seeing other players succeed in their careers. I guess that's how it all started, and the best avenue to do it is being able to mentor kids, being able to allow them to grow on their own, and then grow their own set of wings to fly and be the best basketball player they can be. So that's my real motivation for the whole agency thing. And of course, it's like what you said, it's scary, it's fun, it's a little bit of everything, but it's something that I really want to do in the future.
Was there something, we're doing it today, man, and it's great. Was there something about the way representation was happening that kind of also made you want to help improve it in your experience? Were there things about gaps, right?
Experiences and just stories from other players. As like what you said earlier, the basketball geek in me always wins in situations like these. Just learning, asking questions, and executing solutions on how to make things better. That's one reason why we wanted to do things a lot differently. So, that's why we're here now.
That's so
we're
great.
doing what we're doing. So
You've always it's coming from a place of love for the game,
a lot,
right?
Yeah, a big part of it, yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that also propelled me to partner with you on it, is because for any business that I've done, at least that has succeeded, there has to be a genuine love for
Whatever
the product.
Yeah.
Right?
Whatever
So much,
that is.
so much so that you love it because you've hated it, you've loved it, then hate it again, you've fallen out of love with it, then you've hated it again. And that was my relationship with sports too, right? I wanted to be a professional football player, and I aspired it as early as high school, and I just had setbacks after setbacks after setbacks, but I've also had comebacks.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful now that I'm running this agency with you, because that carries the weight in my head, because then now I'm able to view the game in gratitude, because all of the setbacks and the comebacks, all of them, they kind of give me the perspective of how I need to respect athletes' journey. And when I got my FIBA license, it was just so interesting because I had never really thought about it, right? And we had that one call over Zoom, and we have to thank a sport of the sport of golf for bringing us together.
True.
Right? Don't ask the scorecard, but we think the game
Yeah.
of golf for bringing
Yeah.
us together. It really allowed us to kind of like connect, and I remember it was that even without saying it, I saw your genuine desire and love for the game, but also your curiosity about how we exchanged ideas. And I respected your curiosity and willingness to ask questions from somebody, I would say, who, generally we were just building our professional relationship on, and our brotherhood. And it really gave me a reason to lean into that. One of the reasons why I wanted to be I thought about being a FIBA agent was because learning from your stories and the stories you've heard about representation, it gave me a excited feeling about meeting a gap, trying to fill a gap that you are incredibly passionate about. And that's enough to do a business.
Yeah.
That's enough to start. Then you can think about the numbers, and then you can think about the passion. Then you can, and everything else will follow. But it already checked those 3 boxes of why I wanted to start a business. I remember telling my wife and telling Kim, I was like, hey, Kiefer and I, we've been talking about this crazy idea of putting up a sports agency, and she was like, she's the confidant,
Yeah.
right? I pass everything by her,
Yeah.
whether I like it or not. She's right all the time. And I don't say that, and I don't say that because I want everybody to think that, it's just a yes thing.
Yeah.
But she cares for my well-being. So when I pass her this idea, she thinks about it based on my well-being. She's not thinking about it on a is this going to be a successful?
Yeah.
She's thinking, are you happy doing it?
Yeah.
Is this something that because that's where it starts. Are you happy doing it? Can you put the time and energy for it? And then she'll start asking, how are you going to do it, et cetera, et cetera. So it really helped me do that exercise, right? And then I told you, right? I said, hey, I think I'll take the FIBA license exam because it's happening in the Philippines. And one thing led to another. I take the exam. We get the license, and I'm like, yo, bro. So we have the license. What now? What do we do now?
Yeah, I passed the test, by the way.
By the way, what do we do now? So I call in some support from the States.
Yeah.
Right, some guys who can help us with. Okay, we said we gotta hit the ground running, do marketing and all these stuff. But I remember the one thing that really kind of okay, so we've committed to it. We're gonna be putting this up, and didn't know what we were gonna call it.
Yeah.
We had no idea, right? Just Kiefer Ravena and Miguel Alegre Sports Agency, right? And Julia and Johnny, they put things together, and it sounded good to kind of like put our name to our vision.
Yeah.
Bridging the gap, bridge the game, bridge sports global, right? And we had one desire, which was to emulate and respect the journey of a Filipino player at the beginning who pursues a career in international basketball,
Yeah.
right? And when we started that, we were trying to develop our roles too. And I think Bridge Sports Global is very lucky to have this kind of dynamic where the players don't necessarily just have to rely on an agent to mentor them. Right? I'll be honest. It's so important for me to say this because the agency we have has so much fruit because of our ability to know where we're good at and what we're good at. And that's the transparency that players deserve. And you come in with mentorship and experience, and I come in with mentorship and experience, but it's coming from different cloths, and it meets in the middle. Walk me through now the identity, now that we have this identity, right? What gets you excited about having an agency, and what's your vision for Bridge Sports Global?
What excites me the most about Bridgeports is, again, it comes from a place of love. Parang it's like what I said, like I don't really see myself being away from basketball right there and then as soon as I stop playing. So this is already one way that I can do to still be in touch with the sport. And one thing about it is hawak natin yung oras natin basically when we have our own agency and helping these guys be successful in their careers. So I think that's one big part of making things exciting for Bridge Sports. And down the road, 5-10 years from now, when we have our successful clientele with Bridge Sports, we could all look back, maybe be in another podcast episode about how we were able to change a lot of lives more than our lives being changed. So I
Hear,
think
hear.
that's the manifesting the success of Bridge Sports. I feel like we're on the right track, and
Yeah, there's like a nice pace
we're
to
doing
the
it.
agency.
Yeah, we're doing it at our own pace.
I have to ask you also this. In a spectrum of quality, what to you is a agent and player relationship?
Just a lot of communication, transparency, being able to feel that this relationship is not just about money, not about, again, I'll just go back to my sentiments about coming from a place of love. Just like with our partners, our wives, that everything we do it out for love. Like it's, I say something to you for you to improve. I want you to be better. It's not because I'm trying to pick on you or bring down your confidence. And sometimes, but I'll never forget to pat you on your back, give,
Celebrate with you.
celebrate your wins, and be there with your losses as well. But that's one thing that relationship should be present, that should have, and that's what we're trying to do.
For a second there, I thought you were comparing a agent relationship to a wife relationship. But in many
I tried not to. I tried not to.
No, but you can't, because you can also avoid the idea that generally, an agent's responsibility to the player is one thing you gave clarity to me on. It's like, this is no joke.
Yeah.
Like being in control or being in the responsibility of helping the player fine tune his career goes beyond basketball, because you're utilizing basketball as his vehicle to create livelihood. This is not just growing the game, this is growing someone's life, right? And I embrace that responsibility, so much so that we want to put into context the quality of the relationship as number one. And I think that's one of the most important things, like, as you said, right? Communication, transparency, trust. All these three things are built, not given. With Bridge Sports Global, or as we call BSG, right? Which is going to resonate throughout the world. With BSG, it's just really about that. I feel like we've really built, in as little of a time we've done so many amazing things already, right? And as little of a time we've done, in as small as a roster we've had, we've never failed to ask ourselves, are we maintaining the quality we want in the relationships we have? Every player, every move we've made, to every employee we've added into it has just come from that place of love. Even the people we've hired are people that we love dearly. And it just kind of resonates for me with that kind of delivery. It's like, apart from the vision of the financial stability that we could have with the business, it's also the exciting part that I'm able to build this in such a way where that is the North Star. Like the love for the game and the love for doing it. Everybody's doing it for the right reasons, even the players, right? And in my case, if you were to ask me my vision, right, for the company, I envision it in such a way where when people think about BSG, they think about the most recognized and most respected sports agency in this side of the world, where what we've done today in basketball resonates across different sports and different organizations because of our ability to stay true to what we started in the first page, which was love and understanding for the game. And the love and understanding for the game is what's going to carry BSG
Agree,
to
yeah,
where it is,
for sure.
right? And with that, I'd like to thank you for coming to the podcast. I truly appreciate, your sharing. Beer Sports Global is going to be amazing.
Just the beginning. It's just the beginning. It's just
we
the
are
beginning.
basically at this point we are
Scratching the surface, as we always say in our
8 months in, and we continue to stay communicated. Shout out to our players who are playing in the UAP,
UAP,
right?
abroad. Who else? Yeah, those
All our
everybody
players,
hooping.
Koji Buenaflor, Forzi Padringao, Andrew Jello Crisostomo, Ryle Melencio, working with Kian Baclaan.
Yeah.
Our players abroad, Renza Bando,
Jazz.
Jasmine Johnson, and of course you, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys for giving us the trust and responsibility.
Holding the fort down.
Holding the fort down for you guys. We will make mistakes along the way, but as long as you continue to communicate with us, we communicate with them, with you guys, will be amazing. And, to the team, Paulo,
Yeah, Pao.
Julian, Johnny.
We say that they work in the back end, but they're more on the front guys.
Yeah. And to you and me, man. To you,
Yeah,
I have to
yeah.
give it to you because you've really inspired me to develop a business
Yeah.
that's given me a lot of fire. Like I've never
Likewise,
I've never
likewise.
traveled so much for basketball ever. I've watched
But
Japan
and
games.
It's like what I said. Like it's just the beginning.
Yeah, and
Like,
it's I've watched Jerry Maguire a couple of times, but now
Just show me the money.
now when my dad tells people what I do and he says, "You see that guy? That guy's Jerry
Jerry
Maguire."
Maguire.
He says it in such a way.
But the funny thing is with Tito making the reference, that age also shows the age.
I
Okay,
know,
Tito, you have to
but
change your reference.
we
you have
have-
to be ballers. You have to watch ballers now.
I know. But I can't. I showed Kim a few episodes of Ballers, and I had to stop in like 3 episodes
Yeah,
because I
it was
told her
too
that it's not really
This is
like
not what
that.
we do.
It's not really
This
like
is not
that.
we don't go there,
In
you know.
context, it's not really.
This is
Shout out
HBO.
to Dwayne the Rock Johnson
You know.
and Ballers for being an entourage and all these amazing stories because we're
Yeah.
here now. Bridgeports Global, apart from being a business, is also a lifestyle that I just love.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we can celebrate wins, watch basketball games courtside. It's all part of it. I will not deny the fact that, I can come into a stadium and see a player from the hard court, and recognize me and us. And on the other side, me coming in, giving that player confidence, knowing that I flew all the way from another country to come and watch his game. It gives him, I've seen it, watching Renz play, watching you play, and it's only going to get better and bigger. And whatever this world and this whole industry shows to us, with the kind of team we have, we're ready for it. Mistakes,
And I feel
success.
I feel like just to cap things off, I think the biggest part that's really good on what we're doing is we were able to build a family.
100%.
And then it's a growing family. The kids that we have under our wings.
Yeah. Hey, I'm doing this because I want to put my kid,
Yep.
you know what I mean? I want to give him a free
Remember,
track ride.
We have kids under our wings, and we have their parents who basically entrusted
Oh, so
their
true.
kids' careers.
Shout out to the parents of our kids.
to
Our
us.
kids. Our players, I mean.
So I mean it's the trust that was given to us.
Yeah.
With their parents, it's also a responsibility for us
Huge.
to hold and make sure we not only we get to produce and deliver, but at the same time we make sure that we go through this journey with these kids, because the success we want will just go as far as the success they become as basketball players. So the story will just be as authentic as how we put it out there in the world. So
I agree 100%.
that's
Shout out to mom and
how-
dads.
Yeah, that's
Shout
how
out to moms and dads.
That's how we want Bridgeports to be.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's how we
Yeah.
will be.
We're very much on the same page, you know.
Yep.
There can be the glitz and the glamour about it. There can be the quantity, but if we protect the quality of what we're trying to accomplish, then this business will surprise us on both sides, monetarily, whatever it is. You know, we want to gain the respect of our peers, and we have to make sure we don't jump any steps, right?
Stay in our lane. There's no traffic.
Stay in our lane. There's no traffic there. Kiefer Ravena, The Bridge. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
See you in the next one. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
What a recovery by Kiefer. Rejection Lama Jama from Kiefer.
This is not just a game for me. The game has to be louder than anything else.
What a move by Kiefer Ravena.